The Seattle Whalers have done it yet again. That's right. Your beloved Whalers are your 2025 Stanley Cup champions. There you have the lovely portrait. You got Kessel, Getzlav, Hall, Malkin, Saros, Ekman Larson, all these awesome players winning the cup. Really impressive how we've been able to together a really solid record over the last 5 seasons. Of course, this season being the first time the Whalers have hit 50 wins. Came close to it a couple years. Even in our first year, we were really chasing it. But this is a record to be proud of. Really building upon it every single season. 22 through 23, a little bit of a rockier record, but hey, every season we've had at least over 40 wins. That's good in my books, especially for a brand new franchise. We hope we can continue this trend forward and hope to not experience a decline. Looking at the Stanley Cup champions in this universe, of course, the Whalers won it in 2021. The powerhouse Tampa Bay Lightning came and won it in 2022. Then Toronto finally bringing a cup to Canada, in the heart of Canada in Toronto. Got to be excited for them. Washington somehow comes back without Ovechkin and wins a cup in 2024. And of course, we are the latest champions in. All right, so taking a look at this year's playoff tree, it's been quite a run as Seattle knocks out Vancouver in the first round in 6, and then we had a highly contested second round against Edmonton Oilers with McDavid and Draisaitl. But we knocked them out in 7 games despite being down 3-1 in the series. So that was very impressive, and from there Seattle just went with it. Our veteran depth carried us through, beating the Dallas Stars in 5 games and facing the powerhouse Tampa Bay Lightning, a Tampa Bay Lightning without Victor Hedman. Keep that in mind. I believe he became a free agent and signed with Minnesota. But that was a very concerning series because you look at the Lightning sweeping the Islanders in the opening round, then knocking out your 2023 champions, Toronto Maple Leafs, in 5 games, and then knocking out Philadelphia in 5 games. So definitely a team to be fearful of, but we end up dispatching them in 5 games to win our Stanley Cup. So it is now June 1st, 2025. We have the draft on the horizon. We have free agency on the horizon. And the question is, who is going to be sticking with this franchise? Because we have a very old team. It's a pivotal offseason for the Whalers. We just finished year 5. We have 5 more seasons remaining. And we want to finish strong, right? We're kind of at the midway point. And we don't want to be in decline. We want to keep this franchise a playoff contender. And obviously putting 50 wins on the board, one of our best seasons, is very impressive. So let's take a look at the team standings. We'll see the best and the worst teams in the league. So there you have your Pacific Division. Seattle Whalers being on top. I think this is our best season to date with 111 points. Gotta love that. Anaheim, Edmonton, and Vancouver making it. We know how that all turned out at this point. But San Jose, bottom of the barrel. Same with Los Angeles. We look to see what they'll do in the offseason. Your Central Division, you have Winnipeg with 105 points. Colorado, still a strong team with 101. Dallas with 99. And Minnesota with 99. Chicago, St. Louis missing out. And your Arizona Coyotes, poor Coyotes, bottom of the barrel with 56 points. I think one of the worst teams in the league. Moving on to the East in the Atlantic, of course, Tampa Bay. I believe they won their 4th President's Trophy in a row. That's right. They won it in 22, 23, 24, and looks like 25. So 4 seasons as the President's Trophy winning team. Tampa Bay Lightning. Stamkos really reaping the benefits there. Of course, they did win a cup in 2022. Added that to their plethora of cups. And yeah, that would be their third championship because they won in 2020 and 2022 in this universe with the Seattle Whalers winning in 2021. So anyway, Detroit made it, Toronto made it, Florida made it, and Boston Bruins looks like they are in rebuilding mode, sadly, with only 67 points this season. Buffalo, not that much ahead of them. Montreal in disarray as well. And Ottawa, kind of that tweener team. We'll see what they can do next season, as they did make it to the playoffs last year. And in your Metro, New Jersey Devils didn't seem to do much this year, despite finishing first overall in the Metro. Philadelphia had a pretty deep run to the finals in the East. Columbus knocked out in the first round. The Islanders knocked out in the first round. Carolina not making it. The Rangers not making it. And then Pittsburgh and Washington not even close. So despite Washington winning the Cup last year, it really took their toll with losing Backstrom and I guess all their veteran players at this stage. So they're one of the worst teams in the league there. And that's your standings. So yeah, another President's Trophy there for Tampa. Whalers right behind them, trying to win our first President's Trophy, but that doesn't matter. We got the cup. So looking at our player stats, very old team. We got Malkin, who is 38 years of age. We'll see if he sticks around. Really solid year. Same with Getzlav, Hayes, Horvat, Gagne. Hall in his final year on his contract, so we will have to see what we decide to do moving forward with Taylor Hall. We got Anders Bjork, Ryan Dzingel, and Mikhail Bodker. Right wingers, Bobby Ryan, 38 years of age, 62 points. I think he can still play another year, man. 20 goal season, 60 plus points. That's solid from a 38-year-old. Bobby Ryan really rekindling his career here in Seattle. Since 2020, right? Since we picked him up in the expansion draft, he's been a solid producer for us, man. I don't know if he'll get to the 1,000 point plateau. It's certainly possible if he sticks around for another 2 seasons and has 50 plus point seasons, but see what happens out of Bobby Ryan moving forward. Kessel, same kind of boat. If we'll keep him around for another year, he is in decline. He had a very hefty $8.5 million cap hit. I definitely see that declining at the end of the year. So if he decides to stick around and we can sign him for under $4 million, I think it'd be worth bringing out Phil Kessel for one more season. Youngster Korolev, solid effort, solid growth, 22 goals, 46 points. McEwen, our depth player, kind of stepped in there for injury, didn't really do a lot. I don't really like him, so we'll probably moving away from him. And then defensively, the big man, Oliver Ekman-Larsson, picked up at the deadline. I'm sure he's ecstatic to come over from a worst team in the league to one of the best teams in the league and really help us win our second Stanley Cup. So that was a very, very good acquisition of Oliver Ekman-Larsson. Sam Hine, same thing. Pivotal defenseman on the blue line. Manson, McCabe, all these guys have been since the start of this franchise. Myers is in decline, sadly, but he's a huge defenseman. Gotta love that big body checks he can throw and that long stick reach he has for poke checks. He's on one more year. We'll see if he'll stick around because he has declined 77 overall. So hopefully he won't retire. Eric Gustafsson, I originally picked him up just as a depth guy, and he's emerged as a really solid top 6 defenseman for us. And he's only 33. We signed him to an extension. So gotta love Eric Gustafsson. Shen, who knows if he'll retire? He won a Stanley Cup. Does he sell off into the sunset? We'll see. But he's been a solid depth player for us. Really stepped in for when our guys got hurt. And he ended up finishing plus 11. So that's really solid. Goaltending wise, Saros, what can you say? 2 Stanley Cups with us. Nearly 40 wins on the year. Nearly under 2.60 goals against average was just pretty darn good. Signing him to an extension. We want to keep out Saros. He is 30 years of age now, but goalies only get better after 30, right? So can definitely expect another solid season from Saros. So we're happy to have him as our starter. Pavel Francouz, this is his last season. I highly doubt he'll be sticking around, and even if he does decide to not retire, the writing is on the wall for us to part ways with him. He is 34 years of age. He's been our backup here for 2 years. He's been a very solid player for us as a backup, so we'll just have to explore other options. But really good year. I mean, he improved over last year. Maybe not as many wins, but not as many games played, but a better goals against and 2 shutouts. So solid year for Pavel Franco. I'm sure he's happy to win a Stanley Cup in probably his last year of play. So that is our team. Let's take a quick glimpse at the top 10 players in the NHL this season. It's goalies. We want to look at skaters. So your number 1 skater is Kucherov with 111 points. Draisaitl 108 points. Austin Matthews 101. McKinnon 101. Stamkos 101. So there's 2 Tampa Bay Lightning players there. Toronto, Mitch Marner 97. So you have 5 players with over 100 points. McDavid only 96 points. Hischier 96 points. And Ben with Minnesota finishes with 94 points. Did not expect that. Did not expect that at all. So our highest score was Malkin with 72 points. So our scoring is not in the upper echelon of the league, but I think our scoring is pretty spread out. We have a bunch of depth guys getting goals, and that's why we don't see those huge point totals. But either way, it's very exciting to have that. Last but not least, let's look at the playoff stats. See how our guys did in the playoffs. So Malkin, 21 points, very respectable numbers. Getzlav, very respectable. Pivotal reason in us winning the cup. Kevin Hayes, good third line center, he's producing. Horvat, so. I'm really teeter-tottering here with Boer. Well, we still have him for 1 more year. I thought he was an unrestricted free agent, so I guess we'll keep him for 1 more season. Left wingers, Dzingel, the newest forward that we added at the deadline. He came out in spades, 19 points. Gotta love that production from Ryan Dzingel. Got Taylor Hall, who had less points than Dzingel. Is that a selling point for us to part ways with Hall? I don't know, but I'm really considering it. I really do not want to up his salary. I think it can be better well spent elsewhere moving forward in the future. He is expected to decline, so he did have a 30-goal year. He's a good forward for us, but after 5 seasons here in Seattle, it may be time to part ways with the captain, the franchise's first captain. Only a 68-point productive season, so I expect to see his overall dropping. So if that is the case, it might be time to part ways with Taylor Hall. He is most likely going to want $11 million, and I don't feel like he's worth that much. Maybe if we can sign him for $8 million for another year or 2, that would be worth it. But over $10 million, no sir, that is not worth it to me. But Bjork, who had a great regular season, didn't really. I mean, I'm sure he had some key moments, but only 8 points for him. But I guess that's not bad for our 2 fourth-line guys to at least chip in with some production. And then our right wingers, Ryan, 16 points. Korolev, 14 points. Kessel, only 13 points on the first line, I think, for most of the postseason. So not that much production out of Kessel, but he got a few goals. Then defensively, Ekman-Larsson, amazing, 18 points in his playoffs. I think he's only been to the playoffs twice in his career with the Coyotes, so making it to the Stanley Cup Finals has to be something special for him, and he really stepped up. So I am so happy with the acquisition of Ekman-Larsson, and we still have him on contract for another year. And Saros, the beloved 16 wins, 2.68 goals against, no shutouts in the playoffs, above 90% save percentage, so that's really good. Really, really good. So in this video, we shall just simulate to the date where the retirements are revealed, and then we will stop this episode. So there you have it, your Seattle Whalers are your 2025 champions. There's the salary cap for next season. Curious to see who is going to retire here. Do they reveal it on the draft day? Okay, there are your draft lottery results. Holy moly. Arizona must be pissed. Ottawa jumps all the way from 12th to first overall. Holy shit. Ottawa might be the team of the future. What a bummer there for Arizona. Boston dropping to fourth. Wow. So your top five picks are Ottawa, Arizona, San Jose, Boston, and Washington. Okay, so I think on the 22nd we get the retirement. Okay, so let's see who has retired. Patrice Bergeron, he retires as a Detroit Red Wing. Eric Stahl doesn't sign a contract this season, retires as a free agent. Jason Spezza, still in the league, retires with the Detroit organization. Pavelski hangs up the skates with Ottawa. Carter retires with Colorado. So really a new era in the NHL. Couture retires at age 36. He could have played a couple more years. TJ Oshie retires with LA. Brassard, Stepan. Okay, so a lot of big name players are gone. But it doesn't look like we have any retirements just yet. Sam Gagner, Kevin Shattenkirk retiring with exactly 1,000 games. Nice. So Sam Gagner wins a cup. He's 35 years of age. He's dropped tremendously. He decides to call it quits. I'm sure he's very excited to end his career as a Whaler. PK Subban's gone. Backlund, Turris. So Muzzin. Guess you can sort by teams. Goalies, who's out? Fleury retires. Lundqvist's gone. Kind of sad to see all these guys go, man. Really, really sad. But it's a new era of the NHL. So I'm going to go directly to our team. Franco, yep, retires with exactly 100 wins. So he had a decent little NHL career here. He came into the NHL at age 30. So 29. So he had a good career. I'm sure he's happy to retire with the Stanley Cup. Defensively, we don't lose any defensemen to retirement. Right wingers. Don't lose any right wingers to retirement. No left wingers to retirement. And the only center we lose is Sam Gagner. So it wasn't the pivotal offseason I expected. I expected us to lose quite a few players to retirement. But they have the taste of a Stanley Cup. Do they want to win another one? I don't know. But it's going to be a very interesting offseason here. We don't have a first round pick in the draft. I don't anticipate making any trades at the draft. We'll just try to build up the team through free agency in this year's offseason. I don't anticipate on making any trades. Again, we have quite a few players who we need to re-sign, so that's going to be interesting. So it's a very pivotal offseason here for the Seattle Whalers. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. I do plan on finishing this GM Mode series at year 10 after the 2029 through 2030 season. So we have just reached the midway point and it's been a lot of fun. So stay tuned. The next episode is going to be a off-season recap. So we'll recap our roster for the upcoming 2025 through 2026 season. And that'll be a short video and we'll get rolling into another year with our Seattle Whalers. I also plan on recustomizing our jersey. I edited our jersey for for last season, and the gray was okay at first, but I feel it's pretty dull. So I think we're going to try to spruce up our uniforms for the upcoming year as well. I'm still going to keep our green jersey as an alternate. Maybe that will become our primary after another 2 seasons or so. But for now, I am going to be keeping the navy blue as our primary home uniforms. And maybe we can spruce up our away uniforms as well. So stay tuned for that in the preview of the upcoming year.